GTA 6 Trailer 2 just dropped, and there is a colossal amount of new details, features, hidden secrets, and more that I'll be going over in this video. And I mean, there is a lot of new information, so let's not waste any further time and dive straight in. The trailer begins showing one of the two playable characters, Jason Duval, fixing the roof on a property that belongs to Brian Heder. Brian Heder is a classic drug runner from the golden age of smuggling in the Keys, and himself, along with his third wife, Laurie, manage the drug running business together that Jason works for. Brian lets Jason live rent-free at one of his properties that we see in the trailer. We finally learn the backstory of the two main playable characters, starting with Jason, where he grew up around grifters and crooks and was in the army as a young adult to try and shake off his troubled teens, and we can see his army history from the tattoo we can see on his left arm in this shot here. After his army stint, he found himself in the Keys doing what he knows best, working for local drug runners. See him rob what sorts to be some sort of drugstore's cash register before driving north towards the beach, where he begins a weightlifting workout, and we can see passers-by smirking and watching him, showing us the very first open world activities that we can expect to be able to do in the game. Detail here is just jaw-dropping. With the first moments of Jason entering the drugstore, we can see that he backhands the person behind the cash register and that they are struggling to retain consciousness behind him as he's robbing the cash register, and this seems to play up as the humble beginnings of how he makes his money. As he makes his way to the beach, you can see that the road signs and the road itself are so incredibly lifelike, with a pair of rednecks sat in the actual back of the truck itself, hanging out of it rather than sitting inside of it, which is very typical behavior that you would see in Florida, as well as a vehicle on the left side that is towing a jet ski on its way to the beach. As we see Jason walking out of a gas station with crates of beer in hand, we can see a stray cat sat on top of the cash machine, and to the left we can see someone doing the lottery, as well as seeing a homeless man begging for money in front of the gas station. Straight after this, we see an altercation with the police, giving us a glimpse of how realistic they could be in this game compared to prior games. And if you pay real close attention, you can see that they are dealing with the Haitians, which are a street gang which we originally saw in GTA Vice City. And you can tell by the logo that is on the wall. We then see Jason at Leonida Penitentiary, who is there to see the other main playable character, Lucia Caminos, finally leave prison. We learn that she grew up living in Liberty City, and her father taught her to fight as soon as she could walk, and fighting for her family landed her in the Leonida Penitentiary. Sherlock got her out, and she's learned her lesson. The two clearly have a close bond together, and we learn that the main plot for GTA 6 is that both Jason and Lucia have always known the deck is stacked against them, but when an easy score goes wrong, they find themselves on the darkest side of the sunniest place in America, in the middle of a conspiracy stretching across the state of Leonida, forced to rely on each other more than ever if they want to make it out alive. For the rest of the trailer, we get introduced to so many new characters and get brief glimpses at multiple different missions and heists that we'll experience. It's not just local gas stations that they'll be robbing, as there's a clip where we can see Lucia and Jason perform a heist at Sin Frontera National Bank. Another sees Jason and friends loading several containers into a seaplane at Brian's Boat Works and Marina. One of these friends being Cal Hampton, Jason's friend and a fellow associate of Brian's. Cal feels safest at home, snooping on Coast Guard comms with a few beers and private browser tabs open. And in true American fashion, out drinking with Jason and Lucia, he's feeling generous and asks the bartender to ring the bell, letting everyone know that shots are on him. And it's little details like this that just make this even more realistic. Though this isn't confirmed in the trailer, it sounds like he's voiced by Saturday Night Live's Bobby Moynihan. As the trailer continues, we see even more missions, including what seems to be Jason and Lucia sneaking into a nightclub called 99, which is a parody of a real-life club in Miami, Florida called 11. An altercation between gangs, having to climb out of a third-floor window to escape the police, and in quite a few shots that emphasize the importance of police and their backstory. And while some characters are shown in this trailer, there is actually quite a few brand new characters that aren't shown in this trailer. The first being Booby Ike, who's a well-known and successful Vice City entrepreneur who's built a number of legitimate businesses from his crime roots, including real estate, a strip club, and recording studio, with the Jack of Hearts strip club being what we saw in the first trailer. Another new character is Draquan Priest, who's a musician who is more of a hustler than a gangster, who used to be dealing on the streets to make ends meet, but is now a successful music producer and record label owner. Another new character is actually a group of two girls who together together are called Real Dimes. Bay Lux and Roxy have been friends since high school, with the savvy minds to turn their time shaking down local dealers into cold hard cash via spicy rap tracks and a relentless social media presence, which explains this scene that we saw in trailer 1. And our final new character for now is Raul Batista, who's a charming and cunning bank robber. Raul's recklessness raises the stakes with every score, and sooner or later his crew will have to double down or pull their chips from the table. A few other crazy missions we see in this trailer involves Lucia and Jason fighting on the landing gear of a plane as it flies over Vice City. Then immediately after, we see a take on the heist from Fast and Furious 5 where a bank vault is tied to the end of a car as it's speeding through Vice City. Moments before, we see a massive car explosion, which Jason is seemingly reacting to, but is stood next to someone that not only looks a little bit like Travis Scott, but is also sporting some merch of the local football team, which in real life would be the Miami Dolphins, but here we're seeing the Manettis. In this brief scene here where someone's taking a selfie with Jason and Lucia, it could be interpreted that they've grown quite a reputation for themselves now, and people are becoming fans for their crimes, making them bigger targets day by day. We get a brief moment to see some absolutely beautiful cars, including the likes of Mercedes, Lamborghini, Porsche, just to name a few. And then we get a moment with a gun commercial, which is an incredible throwback to anyone that's played the original Vice City, confirming the return of the classic character Phil Cassidy. This would be the first time ever a 3D era on-screen character has appeared as an on-screen character in the HD era of Grand Theft Auto. Now, in the original games, he did lose one of his arms, and he would be at least 70 today. So there's a chance that this could actually be his son and not Phil, but it's just too uncanny for it not to be. And one of the more subtler Easter eggs in this shot is you can see that this is being played with a PlayStation 5 next to it, with controller next to the two beers, adding as a subtle nod towards Sony and PlayStation, who have the marketing rights for GTA 6. And also, let's just take a second to look at the reflections coming off the TV. Like, this is proper ray tracing that we're seeing here, and this is insanely impressive, seeing as this whole trailer is gameplay running on a base PlayStation 5. At another point, we see a second open world activity where we see Lucia working out at a punching bag, narratively going back to her roots as she was fighting growing up. Could also show it as another thing that you could do in your spare time in the open world. And whilst not shown in the trailer, we do have a ton of screenshots that show even more activities that you'll be able to do in the open world, with some of these activities including mini golf, playing pool, hunting, fishing, diving, dirt bike riding, kayak riding, and of course visiting the strip clubs. There were some great songs in the original trailer for GTA 6, and trailer 2 has some amazing songs as well. Now, the songs used in this trailer aren't a 100% guarantee that they'll be included as songs within the game's radios, but does give us a great idea for the soundtrack of what this game could be like, as the following songs in the trailer include Child Support by Zane Glenn and 5 Etwall, Everybody Have Fun Tonight by Wang Chung, Talking to Myself Again by Tammy Wynette, and Hot Together by the Pointer Sisters. But there are so many more details which weirdly the trailer doesn't include or show. And here we have a postcard of Vice City itself where we have Visit Leonida in the bottom right. We then get to see the iconic Vice City sign with a private jet flying across it. We get to see views of the palm trees and the beaches. We get to see nearby hotels, basketball courts, people at the beach, including a guy searching for metals, an older guy looking somewhere he probably shouldn't. Then we get a look at the beach club nightlife, and then overviews of the beach itself at night, where it just looks so realistic. It's genuinely mind-blowing. Then we move on to another area of the map, which is the Leonida Keys, where the dress code is casual and the bars are loaded. This is the more quieter, calmer side to Vice City. You're going to find a lot more beaches and laid-back vibes, but this is home to some of the most beautiful and dangerous waters in all of America. The detail in some of these scenes is absolutely incredible. Like, we get to see a full-on bearded dragon just crossing the road there. We see a look at a bar called the Rusty Anchor, where we see someone completely passed out at one of the tables out the front. We get a first look at the underwater gameplay, and the detail, the visuals, it's just incredible. Like, it's hard not to think that this is a real-life photo we're looking at. You can see lush coral, turtles, multiple scuba divers, tons of boat parties. It's incredibly realistic. Another area of the map is the wetlands known as Grass Rivers, described as the untamable jewel of Leonida's crown. And we see there are some crazy people that live here, stocked up with guns, beers, and crocodiles. There are far deadlier predators and weirder discoveries among the mangroves. And again, it is just phenomenal how much detail there are in these shots. Another area is Port Gellhorn, which is described as Leonida's forgotten coast, with cheap motels, shut down attractions, and empty strip malls. It is now fueled by malt liquor, painkillers, and truck stop energy drinks. You get to see how grungy this area is by the type of people that live there, the crazy amount of drug dealing that is occurring in these screenshots, and a Delight's cabaret bar offering many unique experiences. Another area revealed today is an area called Ambrosia. Located in the heart of Leonida, the battle for the health and wealth of Leonida begins there. There's an allied crystal sugar refinery providing most of the jobs, whilst a local biker gang provides almost everything else in the local area, showing that they have well and truly taken over. Now, a GTA wouldn't be complete without a open mountainous area, and that is Mount Calaga National Park. This is a landmark based against the state's northern border. It offers prime hunting, fishing, and off-road trails in the lush surrounding backwoods. Hillbilly mystics and paranoid radicals live far from the prying eyes of the government. And it's here where we see just so much realism in the environments, in the visuals. It's just absolutely insane. Again, some of these shots, it's hard to tell if it's actually a real life photo or if it's just indeed from the game. We still have just over a year until this game releases, but there will no doubt be more trailers and more deep dives of GTA 6 leading up to then. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to make sure you don't miss future GTA 6 breakdowns like this, please let me know if you enjoyed in the comments and click that thumbs up button as well. Before you leave the videos, it's absolutely free and I would really appreciate it.